Have you ever had that one moment, a sudden flash of anger, that completely ruins your whole day? Maybe it's a harsh insult or a careless comment that hits a nerve. And before you know it, your emotions take over. You say things you regret, lose focus, and feel like everything spirals out of control. Why does it feel so impossible to keep a grip on ourselves when anger or frustration bubbles up? More importantly, what if I told you there's a way to take back that control? To stop being a slave to your emotions and become the master of your mind? The ancient Stoics believed the real battleground isn't outside of us. It's within our own minds. They taught that true power doesn't come from shouting louder or fighting back harder. Real strength is in choosing calm over chaos. It's about refusing to hand over your peace to someone who doesn't deserve it, no matter how tempting it feels to lose your cool. Imagine the freedom of being completely untouchable by anger or disrespect, no matter what life throws at you. In this video, I'm going to share with you proven, practical Stoic techniques that will transform the way you respond to anger. These are not about bottling up your feelings or pretending they don't exist. Instead, you'll learn how to rewire your mind, how to pause before reacting, how to detach from the things that don't serve your well-being, and how to master your emotions like a true warrior of the mind. Struggling with anger doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Every man has faced that burning heat of anger and the sting of disrespect, but only a few ever learn how to rise above it. This is your moment to break free from that endless cycle. So if you're tired of feeling emotionally hijacked, this video is for you. Hit the like button, subscribe for more timeless Stoic wisdom, and share this with someone who desperately needs to reclaim their peace. Because once you truly understand Stoicism, you don't just manage anger, you become untouchable. And trust me, that changes everything. Let's start by changing how you think about anger. Emotional outbursts, they're not some fixed part of your personality. You weren't born angry, snapping at others in traffic, slamming doors, or replaying harsh words over and over in your mind. That reaction, what feels automatic now, was learned, picked up over years of stress, pride, and living in a world that constantly tells men to be tough, loud, and dominant. But here's the truth that many don't see. Real strength isn't loud, it's silent. Most powerful man in the room isn't the one who barks the loudest or loses his temper quickest. It's the one who doesn't flinch, who holds his ground, who refuses to let small things disturb his peace. Anger isn't just a feeling, it's a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. But first, you have to recognize it for what it truly is. A self-perpetuating chain reaction that keeps going only because you feed it. Think about it. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your boss talks down to you. Your partner says something sharp. Before your brain even catches up, your mouth fires off a response. That's the cycle. And most men stay trapped in it their entire lives, believing this is just who they are. But the Stoics saw it differently. They didn't view anger as some unchangeable trait. They saw it as a weakness disguised in fire. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, once said, "Any person capable of anger is a slave to it." It sounds harsh, but there's truth in it. When you react blindly, you're handing your power right to the very thing controlling you. This video will show you how to break those chains, how to reclaim your mind, your peace, and your life. Just as we explored how anger enslaves the mind when it takes control, now imagine yourself in a situation that most of us know all too well, standing in a long, slow-moving line at the DMV. You've already been waiting for what feels like forever. Then suddenly someone cuts right in front of you as if the rules don't apply to them. That familiar surge rises in your chest. Your heart tightens, your jaw clenches, and your mind screams for a reaction. What do you do in that moment? This is your battlefield. You can either launch into the same losing battle you've fought countless times before, lashing out and adding fuel to the fire. Or you can pause, just pause, and ask yourself one simple but powerful question. Will getting angry make this better? You already know the answer deep down. You've been here before. You've exploded in anger. But what did that really bring you? More stress, more regret, maybe a tense silence or a bitter argument. It never solves anything. It only pulls you further from the person you want to be. The calm, composed man who owns his emotions instead of being owned by them. Here is where Stoicism changes the game completely. The philosophy doesn't tell you to bottle up your feelings or pretend anger doesn't exist. Instead, it teaches you to step outside your emotions. Picture your feelings like clouds drifting across a vast sky. You see them, you acknowledge their presence, but you don't let those clouds dictate your every move. You don't hand over the steering wheel to a passing storm. The real driver behind your actions is your mind, the rational self, the part that remains steady amidst chaos. This is the power the Stoics cultivated through relentless discipline and self-mastery. Now, most men go through life thinking that their anger is justified, that it proves they care. They believe staying calm means weakness, or worse, apathy. But that's a false narrative. Anyone can explode. Anyone can yell, storm off, or throw a punch. That's easy. Real strength, the kind that builds respect and inner peace, comes from holding your ground, from staying calm when the world is trying to shake you, when someone disrespects you and you don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you flinch. That is dominance. When life hurls chaos your way and you stand unmoved, unshaken, that is true control. So what do you do the next time that fire flares in your chest? You pause. You breathe deeply. You remind yourself quietly but firmly, this anger is a habit. It doesn't own me anymore. And then you walk away, not because you're weak or defeated, but because you've grown strong enough to refuse wasting your energy on things unworthy of your peace. You're not here to be triggered. You're here to reclaim your power. And that journey starts not by changing the world, but by changing how you respond to it. Respond like a man who owns his mind. Respond like a Stoic. Now, here's another key lesson the Stoics taught. Control yourself instead of trying to control others. It's tempting to explode when you feel disrespected, to raise your voice, throw a verbal jab, or storm out of the room in a blaze of emotion. That's what many do, desperate to regain some semblance of power. But that kind of power is fleeting and hollow. It blazes hot and fast, only to leave you weaker, drained, and more vulnerable than before. Real control doesn't come from dominating others or forcing your will on them. It comes from mastering yourself in the heat of the moment. Anger deceives you. It whispers lies, that if you don't react, you're weak, that when someone pushes you, you must push back harder. That silence equals surrender. But think for a moment, how often has anger truly solved anything for you? You yell, and the other person yells louder. You win an argument, but lose the relationship. You prove your point, but lose sleep, replaying every word, feeling regret wash over you. Is that power? Or is it a trap that keeps you locked in a cycle of conflict, exhaustion, and regret? We've seen how reacting on impulse drains your energy and leaves you feeling powerless. Now imagine this. You're sitting in a tense meeting at work. Your manager publicly criticizes your idea, not constructively, but unfairly and arrogantly, in front of your whole team. You feel that familiar heat rise inside. Every fiber of your being screams to fire back, defend yourself, shut him down. But then something holds you back. A quiet voice inside whispers, if I respond now, I'll only make this worse. So you pause. You take a slow, deliberate breath. You say calmly, thanks for the feedback. I'll revisit it. And you move on without losing your composure. Later, when you're alone or in private, you address the situation with clarity, not emotion. That is true control. That is strength. That is the essence of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics never believed in letting pride rule your actions. They believed in response over reaction, in clarity over chaos. Here's something many men still fail to grasp. Trying to control other people is a losing game. The only thing you have real control over, and always have, is how you choose to show up. Many make the mistake of thinking silence means weakness, or walking away makes you less of a man. But think back, when someone lost their temper in front of you, did you respect them more? Or did they lose power in your eyes? Rage is loud, respect is quiet. When you stay calm in the face of provocation, you become untouchable, and that unsettles others far more than shouting ever could. The Stoic path doesn't mean you never speak up. It means you choose when and how to speak on your own terms, not driven by anger or impulse. When you learn to delay your reaction, letting the emotion pass before you act, you create space. And in that space lies wisdom. In that space, you make better decisions. You protect your self-respect. Next time someone tries to disrespect you, don't take the bait. Let them act small. You stay solid, not because you're afraid to respond, but because you choose not to fall into their storm. You rise above it, not for them, but for yourself. This is what real control looks like. It's not about having the last word. It's about having the last piece, the calm, the dignity, the power that no one else can take from you. So, start today. Don't waste your energy trying to control the room. Instead, control your breath, your words, your expression, your energy. Walk out of every conflict with something most men never find: your dignity intact. That's a victory no one can ever steal. Here's the third step on your journey. Build calm like a muscle through daily practice. You can't expect to stay calm in chaos if you've never trained calm in silence. That's where most men slip up. They wait until they're angry, disrespected, or overwhelmed before trying to control themselves. But emotional strength doesn't show up on demand. It's earned. It's built quietly in the unseen moments when no one's watching. Just like your body won't get stronger without regular workouts, your mind won't suddenly hold steady in pressure without daily training. As we've just explored, calmness and control are not born overnight. They are skills forged through daily discipline and practice. Mastery over yourself isn't a simple switch you flip. It's a muscle you build over time. Imagine a man who's never touched a weightlifting bar. If he suddenly walks into a gym and tries to lift 300 pounds, he'll be crushed instantly. The same principle applies to your emotion. You've never trained yourself to pause, to breathe deeply, or to sit with discomfort instead of immediately reacting. Then the very first time life hits you hard, you'll fold. Not because you lack strength, but because you're untrained. Now picture this. You come home after a long, draining day. Your child accidentally spills juice all over your laptop. Your instinct kicks in. You want to shout, lose your temper. But then something inside you clicks. You've been working on this. Instead of reacting on impulse, you pause. You take a breath. You calmly say, "Let's clean it up." That moment might seem small, but it's a victory. It's a rep in your emotional training. That small act of strength and control will serve you when much bigger storms arrive. Stoicism was never meant for monks meditating on mountain peaks. It was designed for real people, soldiers, leaders, fathers, workers, those surrounded by stress, noise, and conflict every day. It teaches that true peace is not found in isolation, but through training your mind to remain still amid chaos. And that training begins with the little things: waking up early to reflect on your day, journaling your thoughts before bed, choosing silence over sarcasm, when someone frustrates you. These aren't meaningless rituals, they are workouts for your soul. The biggest mistake most men make is waiting for the fire of crisis to prove they can stay calm. But that's backwards. You don't wait for the storm to build your shelter. You build it in advance. You create daily rituals that sharpen your focus, deepen your breathing, and heighten your awareness. Because when pressure hits, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily reflections on what triggered him, what tested him, and how he could respond better the next time. Not because he was weak, but because he was committed to growing stronger. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that discipline doesn't begin with grand gestures. It starts with the small, consistent control of your thoughts and emotions. They practiced calm as a habit, not a momentary reaction. So if you want to stop being the man who always loses his cool when life gets tough, start being the man who prepares before the storm arrives. Sit with your discomfort instead of reaching for distractions. Notice your breath when you feel the urge to lash out. Reflect at the end of each day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. These aren't small acts. They are your emotional weightlifting sessions. No one is born a stoic, and no one wakes up with perfect self-control. But the man who commits, who repeats, who trains every day, he becomes untouchable. You build calm just like you build any other skill, with effort, with consistency, and with time. So don't wait for the world to test you. Test yourself every day, because the man who trains his mind in stillness wins when the noise comes. This brings us to the 4th step. Let go of what doesn't serve you. You woke up early, planned your day meticulously, but then life throws a curveball. Maybe it's an unexpected argument, an annoying coworker, or an email that ruins your mood. What do you do? As we mentioned earlier, training calmness every day helps you stay steady when pressure hits. But things don't always go according to plan. You wake up early, make your to-do list, and prepare yourself to conquer the day. You hit the gym, complete your tasks, feeling like you have everything under control. Then, traffic jams. A meeting gets canceled last minute. Your boss dumps extra work on you with zero warning. Your plan is ruined and frustration builds quickly. That tightness in your chest, the heat rising in your throat. It's not from the events themselves, but from your resistance to them. You're not angry because things changed. You're angry because you expected them not to change. The world doesn't care about your schedule. Life doesn't ask for your permission before it shifts course. And the more you cling to how you want things to go, the more you suffer. This isn't weakness, it's attachment. An unchecked attachment becomes a trap. A man who needs everything to go perfectly to stay calm will never truly know peace. Letting go isn't giving up. It's recognizing what's not worth holding on to. It's learning to tell the difference between what's in your hands and what's slipping through your fingers. No matter how tightly you grip, the Stoics understood this better than anyone else. They didn't waste energy on traffic jams, rude people, or changed plans. They saved their energy for what they could actually shape, their character, their mindset, their response. So when something throws off your day, don't react immediately. Step back. Ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is no, don't fuel it with your attention. Let it pass like bad weather. You're not ignoring it. You're choosing not to drown in it. That's not denial. That's discipline. The common mistake most men make is thinking control means forcing things to go their way. But real control is about adaptation. Power isn't making the world obey, it's staying calm when it doesn't. That's why Stoicism isn't passive, it's precise. It doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop wasting care on what can't be changed. And that shift frees up your strength for what truly matters. Now, picture this. You're in a parking lot. A stranger backs into your car, leaving a dent, then shrugs like it's no big deal. You want to explode. You want justice. But after that first wave of emotion, you pause. You ask yourself, will raging at him fix the dent? Will it make him care more? So you do the paperwork. You stay calm. You protect your energy. And you drive away. Not just with a damaged bumper, but with your dignity intact. That's the move. That's the win. Not because you let him off easy, but because you didn't let him take anything more than metal. He doesn't get your peace, your night, or your health. You kept those because you let go of what wasn't worth keeping. Stoic strength doesn't shout, it doesn't cling, it releases. And in that release, there is real control. So start asking yourself more often, is this really worth holding onto? Keep only what truly deserves to be held in your mind. Let go of the rest, because the man who knows exactly what to carry and what to drop won't get angry at every storm. He walks through life's storms calm, clear, and unshaken. And that man, no matter how chaotic the world around him, remains in control. Fifth step, turn conflict into a personal test of mastery. You can't avoid conflict as long as you're alive, working, interacting with people, building something real. You will face challenges, misunderstandings, disrespect, or having your limits pushed. That's just life. But most men approach conflict reactively. They see it as a threat to their pride, a moment to win or prove something. So they tense up, raise their voice, and try to dominate. But in doing so, they miss the true nature of conflict. It's not a threat to your power, it's a mirror reflecting it. Conflict shows you where you still lose control, where your ego still runs the show. You're still a slave to other people's opinions. And this is exactly why the Stoics treated every confrontation, every insult, every unfair moment not as a problem to avoid, but as practice. They believed life constantly gives you reps, chances to strengthen your mind by refusing to be dragged down by noise and chaos. Imagine this. You're standing at the counter in a hardware store. You've been patiently waiting while the clerk helps someone else. Then a guy behind you cuts in line, waving a receipt, demanding to be served first. He raises his voice. Everyone turns to look at you. Your heart races, jaw tightens, ready to explode, but you don't. Instead, you step back inside your mind. You ask yourself, what's really at risk here? My time, my ego, or my peace? And right then, you choose not to get pulled in, but to rise above it. That's not weakness, that's power with precision. The mistake many men make is thinking calm means surrender. Not reacting means letting people walk all over you, but letting your emotions hijack you. That's giving your power away. The Stoic doesn't avoid confrontation, but he doesn't let it control him. He speaks when needed, but not with anger. He speaks with clarity because he knows the worst thing is not being disrespected. It's lowering yourself to meet that disrespect. The more you see every challenge as a test, not of who's right or wrong, but of who's in control, the more unshakable you become. Conflict turns from a battlefield into a gym. You stop wasting energy on petty fights. You stop letting small-minded people shrink your world. Instead, you use each moment to build your strength. That's how Marcus Aurelius lived. He ruled an empire, faced betrayal, war, and politics, yet chose stillness. He didn't chase revenge, he chased integrity, because he understood that every interaction is a chance to practice self-mastery, not once in a while, but every day. Men who take this approach don't just survive conflict, they walk through it unchanged, untouchable. They stand like a rock in the middle of the storm, unshaken and unbreakable by the wild waves crashing around them. So next time someone pushes your buttons, try this. Instead of snapping back, say nothing. Instead of trying to prove your point, protect your energy. Instead of letting their chaos become your chaos, become the calm they can't reach. Not to look good, not to be liked, but because you've trained yourself to rise above what isn't worth your fall. You're not here to react to every insult. You're here to sharpen your edge. And every moment of conflict is a chance to do just that. Respond with control. That's how you truly win. And every time you do, you prove something far greater than dominance. You prove you've mastered the toughest battlefield of all, yourself. Sixth step, stay present. Because it's your imagination that makes you angry. It's not the moment itself that makes you lose your cool. It's your mind racing 10 steps ahead or spiraling 10 steps behind. You're not mad about what someone said. You're mad about what you think they meant, what might happen next, what it says about you, what you should have said back. That noise inside your head, that's where most of your suffering comes from. And until you learn to stop living in the past or the future, you'll keep losing control in the only moment that truly matters, the present. Men don't talk about this much, but it happens all the time. Someone cuts you off in traffic, just a few seconds of inconvenience. But in your head, you replay it over and over for the next half hour. You imagine confronting the guy, yelling, showing him who's boss. You carry that weight into your next call, your next meeting, even your dinner table. The moment's gone, but your mind drags it behind you like a heavy chain. That's why small things become such heavy burdens, because you never learn to let them go the moment they happen. Stoicism cuts through this mental clutter like a blade. It teaches you that you only ever have now. And now there is no insult, no imagined outcome, no history to fix. There's only breath, action, and choice. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to snap back to the present. Every time his thoughts wandered, he reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Not tomorrow, not after you win the argument. Right now. The common trap is believing your thoughts are facts. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. Most of what you react to isn't real, it's imagined. The Stoics understood that an untamed mind is the root of unnecessary pain. Your imagination, if left unchecked, will build enemies that don't exist and arguments that never happen. Try this instead. You're walking into a conversation with someone you don't really like. You walk into a conversation already bracing for conflict, expecting disrespect. That tension isn't because of what they said. It's from the future you've already created in your head. Stop, come back, be present. Maybe they'll say something rude. Maybe they won't. Either way, you'll handle it better with a grounded mind than a scattered one. That's why mindfulness isn't just some spiritual fluff. It's a tactical advantage. It keeps your head clear when your instincts want chaos. You don't have to sit cross-legged for hours to get it. You just have to notice your breath, your posture, the sounds around you, the feeling of your feet on the ground. Every time your mind wants to spin stories, bring it back here. You're training your mind like a muscle to stay present. And when you do, you stop overreacting to things that aren't even happening. You stop replaying what you can't fix. You stop rehearsing what you don't need to say. You start responding not from anxiety, not from fear, but from presence. That's where your calm lives. That's where your power lives. You don't control what's already happened. You don't control what hasn't happened yet. But you do control now. And if you can own now, even just for a few breaths, you're not just practicing stoicism, you're living free. And that's the kind of strength no one can take from you. Seventh step, drop the weight of resentment before it ages you. Resentment doesn't just poison your mind, it wears down your body. You've seen it. The man who looks tired even when he's rested. The man who walks heavy even when he carries nothing. The man who flinches at kindness because he's used to betrayal. That weight isn't physical, it's emotional. And the longer you hold on to anger, blame, and bitterness, the more it eats away at your energy, your clarity, your ability to feel light again. Most men don't even notice it happening. They think they've moved on just because they're silent. But silence isn't healing. And just because you don't talk about it doesn't mean it's not shaping how you speak, how you trust, how you live. That grudge you've held on to for 5 years, it's on your shoulders now, even in your sleep. How quickly you snap when someone barely crosses a line. That's the weight talking. That's exactly why the Stoics saw forgiveness not as a moral duty, but as self-preservation. Letting go isn't about making peace with what was done to you. It's about refusing to let it keep owning you, because every ounce of resentment you hold steals your peace in the present, and no one deserves that power over your life, not even the person who wronged you. Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus can get the better of my will." That's what forgiveness is. Not approval, not forgetting, but refusing to be shackled from the inside. Think of a moment when someone crossed the line. Maybe they lied, left, or embarrassed you in front of others. Letting go of invisible burdens is the key to living a lighter, more peaceful life. Forgiveness isn't easy, but it's one of the most powerful ways to protect your inner peace. You told yourself you'd never forget what happened, and maybe you haven't. But every time you think about it, your chest tightens, your energy drops, and your peace slips away. That's not strength, it's self-inflicted punishment. You're reliving the pain long after they've likely moved on. And that's the trap. We often believe holding on to anger protects us, but the truth is, it only weakens you. The Stoic doesn't wear anger like armor. He holds it like fire in his hands, knowing it burns the holder most of all. Forgiveness doesn't mean trusting them again. It means reclaiming space in your heart for something better, something lighter. It all starts with one choice. Stop feeding the story of what they did. Every time you replay the offense, you deepen the wound. So stop rehearsing pain, start protecting your energy. Picture this, you're in the break room. Someone throws a slick, cutting comment your way. You know it's a jab. You could clap back. You could carry it home, vent to a friend, let it play in your mind until midnight. Or you could smile, not because you're weak, but because you're done carrying garbage that isn't yours. You breathe, walk away, and leave the weight behind. That's not passivity, that's power under control. It's knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Once you start dropping resentment, you'll feel it in your posture, your sleep, the clarity of your thoughts. Forgiveness isn't a favor to them, it's a gift you give yourself. Let it go, not for their sake, but so you can stop dragging your past into your present. You have more life ahead than behind. Make room for it, because the man who travels light moves faster, breathes deeper, and lives free. You can be that man if you're ready to set that weight down. Next, remember this. 8th step, pause before you react. That moment changes everything. It happens faster than you think. One sentence, one tone, one offhand remark, and you're already halfway to yelling or slamming the door. By the time you realize you're angry, your reaction has already taken over. This is how most men live. On autopilot, pushed by outside triggers, pulled by inner tension. But what if in that split second between spark and fire, you took back your power? Stoicism begins in that pause. The space between what happens and how you respond. That's the real battlefield, not the argument or insult. The real fight is in that breath, that tiny delay when you choose. Do I react like I always do, or do I respond like the man I want to become? Most don't even see that space. Their emotions outrun their awareness. But once you start recognizing it, you realize just how much control you really have, and how often you've been throwing it away. That's the power of silence in those critical moments. And it's a power you can train every day. Continuing from what we just discussed about letting go of resentment and owning the present moment, imagine a very common yet challenging situation. You're at home, and your teenage son talks back again. That tone, that look in his eyes, it stings. You feel like snapping immediately, but instead of exploding, you pause. Take a deep breath and tell yourself, I'm going to respond in a minute. That brief moment, that is real power. Not silence out of fear, but restraint with purpose. you've just broken a cycle of arguments that has played out for years in countless homes. Now you're writing a new story. The biggest mistake is believing that if you don't react immediately, you'll lose respect. That hesitation means weakness. But in truth, those 2 seconds give you clarity. You give your brain time to process, to choose, to aim true. That's what the Stoics trained for, not the absence of feeling, but mastery over timing. Marcus Aurelius never said, "Don't feel." He said, "Don't act unless it serves the greater good." And that good often begins with silence. We live in a world that rewards fast reactions. Reply to texts instantly, respond immediately, defend yourself right away. But emotional discipline isn't about speed. It's about precision. Saying the right thing at the right time with the right tone. You can't do that if you let adrenaline do the talking. You need to stop, breathe, and name your emotions before they turn into something you'll regret. It doesn't take years of meditation. It takes one choice. When pressure hits, pause. Tell yourself, "I don't need to react yet." Walk into another room. Take 10 deep breaths. Ask, "What outcome do I want here?" Only then do you speak, move, act. Not from ego, but from intention. The Stoic man isn't cold, he's clear. Not slow, but steady. He doesn't suppress what he feels. He commands it. Because in that pause, he sees more. The consequences, the opportunity. And he steps into both with a steady hand. So from now on, treat every tense moment as your training ground. When your heart races, your face heats up. Your fists clench. Don't move. Not yet. Let the moment settle, then decide how to own it. The man who masters the pause doesn't just win arguments, he wins himself. And that victory is one worth choosing over and over again. Now you know, you are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are not bound by anger, resentment, or the need to react immediately. What the Stoics taught, what men like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived by, is that calm isn't given, it's forged. Self-control isn't denial, it's discipline. And peace isn't weakness, it's power sharpened in silence. We've explored how anger is a habit that can be unlearned, how real strength comes from mastering yourself, how emotional calm is built like a muscle through small daily choices. You've seen that letting go isn't surrender, but wisdom. Staying present is the best defense against stress. And in every moment of tension, you have a window, a pause where your character is shaped. This isn't theory, this is your life, in how you respond to your partner, how you hold your ground in meetings, how you walk away from noise and stand firm in your values. Every moment is an opportunity to practice, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. This is how you stop being triggered by everything and start becoming untouchable. So I invite you, start today. Train your breath, hold your words, master your pause, and build a mind that cannot be shaken by what it cannot control. If this message resonated with you, share your story in the comments. What moment tested you recently? What have you learned from holding back? We learn by reflecting and grow by helping others do the same. Because in the end, the man who masters himself, his thoughts, his reactions, his energy, is the man who owns his life. That is the kind of strength that endures.